Morning to you. If you're just listening to us right about now, if you just joined in, it's good to be in. It's good to have you in our company. Thank you for making CCFM your station of choice. Around about this time, every single Wednesday morning, we just have a little bit look into the Word. Have a little bit of a midweek moment. So today, no different, and something that I actually one of my favorites, and those of you who know me will agree that one of my favorite accounts in the New Testament is the one when Jesus sends his disciples into a storm. He purposefully puts them in, sends into a boat. It goes, they go into a storm, and it's just after the feeding of the multitude that Jesus says to his disciples that get into the boat and I will see you on the other side. He purposefully sent them into a storm. But something that I love about, whenever I read this passage is the part that, he sent the disciples into the storm. They were all alone. The Bible talks about how they were all alone and they were just struggling and they weren't sure if they were actually going to make it. There were moments where they thought this is it and they're done for it. But the whole time, the part that just I love and just gets me all the time is that when Jesus sent the disciples into the storm, he went up on the mountain to pray. But when he went up on the mountain, he had his eyes on them the entire time. So all the time that the disciples were feeling like they're in the storm, the wind and the waves were just, so overwhelming. They felt like they just couldn't do this any longer. But when all of that was going through, and it talks about the first watch of night and nothing, there was no help until the very last, at the very, very end, at the fourth watch of the night, when they thought this was it, that they were going to go down. It was at that very moment when Jesus comes walking on the water and he came to save them. And we know the story. We all talk about it. When Peter goes, Jesus calls him, and Peter goes in the water, and he walks towards God and towards Jesus. And the moment he's about to fail, Jesus catches him because he's close enough. He's that close enough to Peter. But that's not just with Peter and the disciples. He is the same with us as well. And that's what I want to remind you this morning, that maybe you're in a storm and maybe you're like, hey, it's October. It's basically the year is over. This has been a tough year and it's just been crazy. And you might just be feeling like you are in the storm. I want to remind you that Jesus is with you. He's got his eye on you the entire time. Just like how he had his eyes on the disciples, he's got his eye on you as well. Maybe you feel like you're in a storm, you're overwhelmed by the wind and the waves. I just want to remind you that you have a father who loves you and he cares for you and he is with you in the storm. When he told the disciples that he'll meet them on the other side, that's what he did. He met them on the other side. So I want to encourage you this morning that to keep your faith. Even though the winds may be blowing and fear wants to slip in and you feel like you are sinking, just remember the words that Jesus gave his disciples. He said, I'll see you on the other side. While they were in the storm, Jesus had his eyes on them the entire time. Just like today, our Father still has his eyes on you. You are a child of God. And what father will not protect his very own child? He has you in the palm of his hands. So be at rest, stay at rest in his perfect peace, knowing that he has never failed you before and he will never fail you ever.